Hello everyone, I'm Envy Lego Technic and today I started another project. On this project I saw the Do It All Off-Roader by Another Brick in the World, and I thought that I could also do something similar. It looked really fun and um, it's quite a simple thing. Mine will also have interior and positive caster on both axles, which is something I also learned from Another Brick in the World. So right now I only have the front axle. It has a red differential. This half beam is holding the wishbones together, and the axle is at positive caster. The steering motor is not yet attached, it just dangles around on the steering axle. As for the Buwizz motors, they will be placed towards the rear, so that they will make space for the interior, and uh, they will be placed in a cluster like this. I finished the chassis, sort of. The rear suspension mount is kind of a mock-up, it's not secured real well, and the chassis needs a lot of reinforcement, because you can see that the front can bend a lot, and the steering motor is not secured very well. But we get the main wheelbase and approximately how long the whole thing will be. So it turned out that after I reinforced the rear suspension, it performed much better than the front one, which literally fell apart. So I decided to modify the front suspension to have a similar structure to the rear one. The rear one is a bit softer, as the Buwizz motors are placed towards the rear, and yeah, now I will work on mounting the Buwizz on and testing it. Indoor tests have revealed that it drives pretty fast, definitely too fast for indoor environments, as you can see here. I crashed, and this wheel is just hanging on the lower wishbone and the steering link. This entire part got pulled off. I haven't tested the torque yet, but the front part needs to be made a little bit more reliable. So the chassis got completely overhauled and I got rid of the caster angles. The reason why is because it was just too difficult for me to mount the wishbones and shock absorbers properly. But now I managed to do it without the caster, and as you can see, the suspension has really long travel, and since it's really light, two motors with direct gearing plus the differentials from the fast output can easily pass obstacles indoors, although indoors it's not really for indoor playing, as it's really fast, so it can crash easily, but I still have to test it outside. Other than that, the suspension is very bouncy, very responsive, and very fun to play with. So now I'll test it outside. And I also add the interior to the car. Yeah, if you are familiar with my previous mocks that I have not posted on this channel, you can probably see where this is going with the pattern on and between the seats. This is going to be the second version of my rally supercar, and that is because there is enough space for a nice interior, and it has the perfect wheelbase, all-wheel drive, and rally suspension. So the bodywork is also going to be just like the previous one, a black supercar with a targa roof and scissor doors. Unfortunately, I lost all the footage from the test drive outdoors because first I want to do some off-camera test runs, and in the process I lost a few pieces from the rear axle, and now I found most of those pieces, but some of them had to be taken from my collection, some spares. So the rear axle has to be reinforced, and other than that it performed pretty good, but I don't have any footage because after I found those parts and I drove it around for a little bit more, yeah, the battery died of the Buwizz. So also there have been attempts at making the door, but they don't look that good. So now I'm going to reinforce the rear axle and work on the bodywork. This is how the bodywork is going so far, and I had to double the rear shock absorbers, so now there are two of them per wheel, and as I mentioned, it has butterfly doors. I haven't worked on the roof yet, and I couldn't fix this panel, so let's just say it's a fuel cap, but on the other side it could be used to reach the Buwizz on-off button without taking this thing off. Speaking of which, it's a rack engine cover that the previous version also had, and I think it looks good. The front version isn't, the front bodywork isn't done yet. I haven't even started making it, but I do have some ideas. The reason I changed the color of the front shock absorbers to black is because I will make the front shock absorbers and this entire area part of the front hood, which needs to be black. There are also some attempts at making a racing number, kind of like this number 7 that I planned on putting onto the door, but it didn't look that good because I couldn't add these panels below. And the doors, they're only stable in this highest position because push a little bit and they fall. So that's how the bodywork is going, and I think it looks really good so far. So next up, the front part and the roof. Well, I was building the bodywork for this model when I got to the roof, and that's when I realized that the interior was pushed way too far forward, and that made it look like it was in a really terrible car crash. So I had to rebuild part of the chassis and the entire bodywork. Here's what I did. So I pushed the steering motor a bit forward to get rid of the front axle, and I flipped around the rear driving motor to have a reasonable wheelbase, and uh, this also resulted in some benefits, such as having a more proportional rear end, because as you can see, previously it was just the end was behind the rear wheel, which was very unrealistic, but now it's more proportional. And another feature is an active rear wing that I also managed to include with the additional space behind the motor. Now, of course, it could look a lot better, but I think it's alright, especially considering that it has an active wing. And I think that's pretty cool. You can also tilt it. The mechanism is a lot simpler than the one in the 4GT, but it works and it's reliable. So now I'm going to work on the doors and the front part. Well, I added the doors, And as you can see, they are not the scissor doors anymore. They are actually butterfly doors. Although the solution definitely isn't ideal, as the doors don't really open that high, so they're more like something between the normal doors and the butterfly doors. Um, and I slightly altered the way these panels are mounted on this side because it turned out that they are not on an equal height on this side and the other one, and now they're on the equal height. So now I will do the front part. So now we have the convertible Targa top roof and also the A-pillars. So it's very easy to take the roof off. You just pull out 3 pins, these two, and also uh, also one here, and you can remove the roof. I think it looks really good in the roadster version. Actually, I like it better than with the roof. And you can see I use these slopes here to go along these connectors so that there is less gaps in the body. Unfortunately, I had to use these half bushes because of the width of the axle, and now I'll have to do the front. The car is completely finished. I haven't tested it outside because it's night right now, but the front is done, and it's not the prettiest thing in the world, but from my experiences with the previous version, where I used horns for the headlights and it looks much better, uh, the headlights will fall off a lot, while in this they are very sturdy and don't fall off. And this is what the finished model looks like. I'm personally really pleased with how this turned out, especially the middle, top, and back. And I'm also happy that I managed to squeeze in a rear wing activation mechanism. Um, so now indoor tests have proved that this will be able to move rather quickly over off-road terrain, I hope, and over on-road terrain it accelerates a bit jerkily but acceptable, and it drives very fast once it reaches its top speed. So now we'll see what it does outside. So I'm back from the test drive and the thing performed very good. It was able to move very quickly over off-road ground, although it had a little bit of a problem accelerating, and you usually needed to accelerate beforehand in order to combat some bigger obstacles. But it had no problem accelerating on stuff like ground. It did have a little bit of a problem on gravel. Uh, the gravel was putting a lot of stress, but if you replace the Audi hubs with planetary hubs, which will slow it down, but it will make it a lot more torquey, and I think then it should move on gravel too. I also tested it on a hill, and it was able to climb, but again you needed to accelerate beforehand. otherwise it dies. Also, you won't believe how quickly these batteries drain. Uh, yeah, and also I discovered that this wheel can fall off a little bit, but that's not due to my design. It's because the pins, these blue pins, they were broken, but you could drive without problems. And yeah, I'm overall very satisfied with this model. There will be a function presentation video and instructions for the vehicle, of course. So that would be it for this episode. Hope you enjoyed this creation and this video. Bye.